решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
Endless February. From the first days of the full-scale invasion, our experience did not allow us to be confused, and we immediately started to act. And on February 25th, we already established the Rapid Response Headquarters of the Women's Veterans Movement, where we began to help the army, actively and massively. From those first days, our sisters, our friends, our colleagues, they joined the headquarters, and then the real movement began. We made Molotov cocktails, we made a kitchen for territorial defense in the restaurant. We provided equipment, we provided food, hygiene, and repaired drones. Here was a real anthill. The volunteers of the headquarters literally lived in these premises. Gradually, we escorted them to the front. Gradually, we learned about the horrors that took place in the deoccupied territories. Our first trips with humanitarian missions to Bucha, Irpin, Donetsk region, Kherson region. We even have time to fight. Already at the beginning of May, we founded our own medical service, which was headed by Cuba, and now the crew is successfully saving lives in the hotspots of Ukraine.
Если нас заебошат, твои последние слова. Я вас всех люблю. Ветеринарка уехала на помощь братанам.
Our headquarters literally became the center of training and recruiting for the armed forces. Many volunteers received the knowledge necessary for survival: driving, flying drones, tactical medicine from Surkov, and much more. Many have heroically saved their fellow men thanks to this. Medicine is one of the most important areas of our work. That is why our large-scale event was dedicated to saving lives. Then we collected 800 tourniquets. It's extremely important for us that our medical service is ready for anything and equipped with everything. Therefore, our first large-scale gathering was just for the medics. It was an ambulance for 4 wounded. The cost of the project was more than 3 million hryvnias. To raise this amount, we involved many friends. We held a photo exhibition of our Alaska. We held a stand-up show, and we held many other events. And we succeeded. In total, we delivered more than 50 cars to the front line, including specific ones, fast cars, pickups and jeeps. And soon we will hand over the ambulance bus. The shortage in the market and the poor quality of the goods prompted us to create this shop and make some things for the military ourselves, such as t-shirts, underwear and masks. But the main thing is that they developed a women's uniform here, which women at the front lacked for so long. Here we have a kingdom of camouflage, where nets and kikimuras are made. In addition to volunteering 24/7, we continue to care about the rights of women in the military. We advocate for women's uniforms and many other quality changes. We're making sure that the personnel reform in the army does take place. We protect the rights of the military in general. This year was very difficult, but everything is running fast here. Support the women's veterans movement. Support the armed forces. We will definitely win.
When I saw the iconic towers, the first thought I had was that this is the building which I have to walk. The line I'm walking is different from all the other slack lines I've been walking so far because of the setup itself, the location, and the way it looks. It's called Sparkline. Since I arrived to Qatar, I faced immediately rough weather conditions. Not only the heat, but the wind, which is not a friend of slacklining. It's even hard to walk just on the roof, because the wind gusts are just coming and they're coming from different directions. We have to see if all the gear is still in place and not flying away. With wind, the forces are 2-3 times bigger, and everything needs to be calculated and checked. I use a scale inside the slackline setup. While I'm walking, it still reads all the calculations, and my team can see how much force I apply on the anchors, because it could double with a huge wind. It means my team will call me back and quickly get off the line. The amount of people working on it, in terms of safety, setup, it's incredible. In order to get the slackline between the towers, we need to fly drones, and the technology is not capable of fighting with such a weather. We were so close, but that means nothing. And my guys went to old school rigging, lowering down the ropes from both buildings. Then 2 ropes were reached in the middle and guided with a 3rd rope. We have been waiting for the last few days for the wind to calm down. The weather has been tough, but I feel that we have chance moment to walk the line. After I attach myself to the line, I'm moving forward a few meters over the edge of the roof and watching everywhere. I have to see what's happening. The body is very tense. The first steps are creating the most shake into the line. It needs to be careful, slow, steady, because they're the most important ones. And with each step, the walk becomes smoother and smoother. I'm in the middle of the line. The first sun signs are coming on the horizon, and I feel the heat blowing my back. And the end is closer with each step, but it doesn't mean it gets easier. The last steps are getting harder and harder. I don't see what's happening behind my back. I have to feel what happens. That was a fight.
Yeah, boy.
Now, after crossing the distance between iconic towers, I feel fantastic actually. After so much work, working at night, trying to find the perfect moment during the day with less wind, with no sun, just to set it up and finally to find a moment to walk it. It feels great.
Negro Leagues baseball was so popular that black churches would move their service time up an hour so fans could go to the game. If you know anything about the black church, you don't mess with service time.
There were African American professional ball players in the 19th century.
But segregation starts to tighten its hold.
Well, what do you do?
We can do this on our own.
A few entrepreneurs see that a black club can be a successful business.
Rube Foster.
Light years ahead of his time.
Effa Manley.
The first lady of black baseball.
Negro Leagues players made the game more up-tempo, bunt and run.
Base stealing. These incredibly acrobatic catches.
The major leaguers would say that the Negro Leagues didn't play the game the right way. Really, that was saying they didn't play the game the white way. Wherever you had successful black baseball, you typically had thriving black economies.
You have vendors and you have advertising. You know, people were making money from it.
But integration was going to kill their businesses.
It was good morally, but that progress came at a cost.
White fans saw a kind of baseball they had never seen before.
The great ball players of the leagues.
Jackie Robinson.
Buck Leonard.
Satchel Paige.
Willie Mays.
Cool Papa Bell.
Hank Aaron.
Oscar Charleston.
Joshua Gibson
Would transform the game.
They are a part of a movement. Before we coined the term civil rights movement.
Man, they didn't care about making no history. They just wanted to play ball. But the pride, the passion, the courage in the face of adversity, that's the real story.
Hello, I'm Lucy Gray. Welcome to the programme. We start with a historic mission to the moon and the launch of India's Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft. This is the moment that it took off just under an hour ago. It entered Earth's orbit shortly after. It's India's second attempt at a lunar landing, and if it's successful, the craft will deploy a rover near the moon's south pole next month. Well, let's speak now to Prasad Subramanian, who is a professor at Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm assuming that you watched the launch and are following its progress. What can you tell us? What's your assessment of how things are going?
Things are going very well. Fingers crossed, but I believe we've passed the most crucial stage of the launch, and so as of now, things couldn't be going better.
So just to explain what's happened, there was blast off, and then the boosters separated from the rocket, didn't they? Those boosters have now fallen into the ocean, and I understand it has now entered Earth's orbit.
Exactly. It's a matter of entering the moon's primarily the moon's gravitational pull, and it's a complex maneuver. And to be clear, the rover per se is going to land on the moon only in about 2 weeks or something like that from now.
23rd or 24th of August, they've said.
That's right. Yes, something like that. So in between now and then, it's a lot of fairly complicated orbital dynamics that's going to happen.
Basically trying to build up speed, though, I understand. Yes.
The slingshot's a very good analogy. You need to get your stone right in the right trajectory.
The really difficult part, apparently, is landing on the moon. And I know that India tried it once before and it didn't go so well. So talk us through why this is so tricky, what it involves.
To the extent I understand, it's a matter of think of trying to land on your feet while jumping the top of a building. You need to make sure your feet are strong. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, but if you were trying to do that, you need to make sure your feet don't buckle, and there's a lot of rebound, and you're not very sure about the composition of the soil where you're landing. So all these things. So that's why it's a combination of mechanics and mostly mechanics.
So Sorry, I was just going to ask if you could explain what the mission is. As I said, the aim is to land on the South Pole. And we don't know a huge amount, do we, about the actual South Pole?
That's right. That's precisely why we're trying to go there. And the mission, the scientific objectives are manifold. Broadly put, lunar geochemistry and of course, presence of water ice. Which is the Holy Grail, and understanding how the lunar surface came to be what it is now, understanding the impact of the solar wind, something that I'm personally interested in, how the solar wind particles impact the moon's atmosphere or the lack of it, and how they influence the geochemistry of the lunar surface. This is about as much as I broadly understand.
Yeah, well, so far so good. So we will see, I suppose, won't we, in the coming weeks. Thank you very much for talking to us, Prasad Subramanian, who is a professor at the Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research. Thank you.
Satya Everyone that walks through those doors should be thankful, because when you walk out of it, you don't walk out the same person that you came in as. We was staying at the hotel that I worked at. I went on Google, looked up shelters, saw the Dorothy Day House. I just filled out the application, and I think like a week later, she came and got me and my son, brought me to the Joseph House. You know, normally when you go to a shelter, you see cots, people everywhere. But when I went to the Joseph House, I was like, this is a shelter? When you come through that door, you came in with just the clothes on their back, and you got a warm bed to sleep in. It's just like being at home, and that's what Dorothy Day is. It's a home. It's not just a shelter. It's refuge for people that don't have anything. I moved there in 2019. I left in November of 2020. Without them, I don't know what me and my son would have been. I mean, I have a job, I have a house, I have a car, something that I ain't have at first. I mean, they saved my life. When I go home, I fall to my knees. And I'm thankful for where I'm at. And I know that I wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for the people at the Dorothy Day House.
I've been playing with the New York Apple Corps, Golden Apples, we've been out here 25 years, some of us. And we've pretty much been playing together. My age is, I can't remember what it is. It's, we're in the 17th division. No, what keeps us going is the camaraderie that we have with the guys. We have an awful lot of fun with the guys, a lot of laughs, and it never ends. We just want to keep going as long as we can. As long as we're on the slippery side of the ice, we'll be playing.
Yes, go! Go! Yes!
My name is Ben Cardis. I'm 76 years of age. I've played in every tournament up here since it started. I started out with the Senior Kings, and I'm now playing for Baker's team out of Oregon. I've switched from team to team, not because I wanted to, but because of the age groupings, or we lost some players because they passed on to another world. It's a wonderful game. I think you can play it at any age. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to play it when I'm 90. Schultz was always the one that brought us together. Just before this tournament started up here, Schultz played in a tournament in Burbank. I think it was one of the first ones we had. And I was too young to play, so I was refereeing. And Sparky Schultz was playing, and I gave him his penalty. I gave him his only penalty in all the years that he played up here. But because of that, we became very close friends. I'm glad that the Schultzes have decided to continue with the tournament, because where else can you meet better people than right here? Wonderful.
All right, so we're in the 60Cs, and we've been playing each other for 10 plus years. And whoever wins brings a shot glass full of whiskey, and we cheer each other.
Yeah, years and years.
Cupertino Maniacs
against
Santa Rosa Red Barons.
Yes, the 50s, the 55s, and the 60s.
San Francisco is set to receive a multi-million-dollar opioid settlement from Walgreens. San Francisco secured $230 million from the settlement, making it the largest award given to a city in this type of case. That lawsuit found Walgreens liable for contributing to the opioid crisis and creating a public nuisance in the city. This announcement comes just a month after CVS and Walmart agreed to pay San Francisco in those opioid settlements.
It's easy to blame those we see right in front of us who are struggling. But we must remember that some of the most profitable companies in the world engineered this public health crisis.
And we reached out to Walgreens for a statement, have yet to hear back from them.
Brandon Kazen Maddox is an artist, filmmaker, acrobat, and an advocate for deaf artists on the stage, screen, and beyond. Tonight, Kazen Maddox shares their brief but spectacular take on blending the worlds of art, ASL, and accessibility.
I am a grandchild of deaf adults, or a GODA, which means that my first language is ASL, sign language. I was raised in a family of deaf and signing people. For me, my hands are storytellers, and my words are just along for the ride. So that means that I primarily think in ASL, in sign language, and I make sure that my hands follow what the concepts and images and memories and feelings that my heart and that my mind are expressing. Growing up, my family would always eat around the dinner table. There was such an amazing mixture of communication. And I grew up watching all of that and participating in it. My grandparents would express themselves in sign language. If we brought friends and other relatives to the table, we wanted to make sure that they understood the conversation also. I bring that into my work as an artist. And the reason why I talk and sign is because I want everyone to understand everything I'm saying. When I was about 16, I was driving with my grandma, and in the deaf community, we turn on the dome light at night because we have to be able to see each other sign. When I first saw in the rearview mirror the red and blue lights, I immediately was very afraid. I had to make sure to keep myself and my grandma safe at that moment. And sign language is not always something that people are accustomed to. So the cultural facilitation and linguistic facilitation was pivotal at that moment. I'm a co-founder of a company called Up Until Now Collective. We develop and produce new multidisciplinary work that focuses on intimacy, empathy, and connection, and centers our work on stories that have been traditionally left out of our mainstream narrative. Our mission is to challenge the status quo and build new structures for creating art. When someone who signs, or a deaf person, or someone in a wheelchair has everything that they need to be on stage and shine, that's my goal with the work that I do. My name is Brandon Kazen Maddox, and this is my brief but spectacular take on melding the worlds of art, ASL, and accessibility.
Of researchers at Harvard University think they may have found alien technology here on Earth.
Yeah, that it likely made the journey here on a meteor from another solar system. WBZ's Mike Sullivan shows us the out-of-the-world find, new at 6.
It's history in a box from light years away.
That we delivered from the expedition.
Pulled from the ocean, brought to Harvard.
We are now taking them for analysis.
Fragments from a unique meteor that Harvard professor Avi Loeb believes could be from an alien gadget, maybe even a spaceship.
You can't even see them because they are so tiny.
Loeb just brought them back from an expedition from the waters off of Papua New Guinea.
We found 10 spherules. These are almost perfect spheres, metallic marbles.
They came from a meteor known as IM-1, the U.S. Space Command confirming to 99.999% certainty that it came from another solar system. It was first detected by the U.S. in 2014.
We received from the U.S. government the location of the meteor to within 10 kilometers.
That's a big area, Loeb saying roughly the size of Boston. They began plotting a trajectory using sound and light variables detected upon its entry.
This orange path, the most likely path, at a fixed distance from the seismometer.
Their boat, the Silver Star, began taking runs through that area with a meter-wide sled attached to a line.
That was covered with magnets on both sides, and we tried to place it on the ocean floor and drag it with the ship.
Most of their findings were covered in volcanic ash. Amongst the debris were tiny spherules of material, sub-millimeter in size.
When you look at them through a microscope, they look very distinct from the background.
Loeb saying the spherules almost appear to look like Earth and are mostly made of iron.
We collected those, we found about 50 of them.
He says the material strength in the spherules are tougher than any space rock ever cataloged by NASA.
Its speed outside the solar system was 60 kilometers per second, faster than 95% of all stars in the vicinity of the sun.
With those two factors combined,
suggested potentially that it could be a spacecraft from another civilization, some technological gadget.
He likens it to the spacecrafts we sent out on missions never to return.
And they will exit the solar system in 10,000 years. And just imagine them being colliding with another planet far away. A billion years from now, they would appear as a meteor.
That object may still be in the water. Loeb and his team have several hours of unseen footage from the camera attached to their sled.
You could end up watching this, sitting at your computer, and then seeing the gadget that you want to see just pop up.
Potentially, depending on how big it is.
They even have more vials of debris to go through.
And could there be materials not of this solar system in these little vials?
Definitely, yes.
These latest revelations led Loeb to ask his students one pertinent question.
If it's a technological gadget and we find it and it has buttons on it, should we press a button?
Would you press it? In Cambridge, I'm Mike Sullivan, WBZ News.
He was just 15 years old. Alex Parra lost his leg to bone cancer. He wanted to keep on running, though, and playing sports, but he found out that getting the specialized prosthetic leg wasn't covered by his insurance, and that would cost him $35,000.
So Alex decided to raise awareness about the big costs that disabled athletes face by trying to tackle a marathon without a prosthetic leg, instead doing it all on crutches. He joins us now for more on this amazing challenge. Alex, good morning. I mean, any marathon, including San Francisco, is tough enough anytime, especially with a first attempt. Congrats, you made it more than halfway around. What inspired this idea, and what kept you going when things got tough?
Yeah, it was honestly just to raise awareness for these prosthetics, because it honestly shouldn't cost that much. I shouldn't have to spend $35,000 in order for just me to run or for me to try out a sport that I would want to do when I was younger. So when I found out how much it was going to cost me when I lost my leg, me and my family were looking around like, we can't afford this. How are we going to do that? So I really wanted to just bring a light onto this issue and hopefully bring some change to that as well.
Absolutely. Just your smile is so infectious, just seeing you immediately when you come on and this, what we're discussing. I mean, I'm sure this was a tougher time back when you first learned. If you could take us to that moment that this was going to cost you $35,000, knowing that it's something that could greatly improve your ability to do things that you love. How did you feel? And what did you learn about why and how it's possible that these sorts of things are not covered?
Yeah, I was just shocked. When I lost my leg, I didn't think it was going to be that much. I just thought I would have all the stuff and the necessities for my life when I lost my leg and just moving forward with sports and athletics. And to learn that it wasn't covered, and to learn I would have all these different challenges on top of cancer and losing my leg, honestly, it was just shocking. So I'm really hoping that there's change in the future for it.
So talking about change, last year there were lawmakers in Maine. They passed a bill that requires insurance policies to cover prosthetics used for recreational activities like running, also swimming. Does that give you hope that things are changing?
It gets me super excited, because when I just never thought there would be change. I'm like, my whole life, looking forward into the future, I thought it was always going to be costing an X amount of money. But the fact that there is change slowly being incorporated into bills and into all these different states, it's so exciting because like, oh my gosh, I have a chance.
Oh, Alex, how are you doing, by the way, with your health now?
A lot better now. I'm be officially cancer-free on January 11th, 2024.
Oh.
So I've had cancer twice. I had stage 2 bone cancer, then stage 4 lung cancer. So hoping for that single day where I could get my golden ticket for cancer.
Oh, absolutely. I know that this has just totally blown up on social media, which is fantastic, and we're so happy to see it. What are you planning to do next to try to raise awareness for this cause?
So the long-term goal would be to do an Ironman on crutches without my leg, the bike without it, the swim without it, and then the run. So that's the long-term goal. And I'll actually train for that one as well.
Alex, help us understand. I can understand the prosthetic helping with running. How would you swim without any sort of assistance?
Yeah, you just go without it. When I first was learning how to swim, it was just zigzagging everywhere because my balance was just completely off. So just going in without it and just doing my best.
Oh, Alex, you are an inspiration.
You really are.
We wish you all the best. And please keep us updated on this effort because this is really an important topic.
Yeah, it is. Thank you very much. Wonderful to meet you.